Good morning, good evening to you all. Welcome to this week's Live Craft and Chat, where we craft and chat live. I have the fan pumping. It's hot, it's humid, it's gross here, weather-wise. Not enjoying it. It's not my favorite weather. It's not my favorite weather. So let me know where you are and what the weather is like for you. I hope you can hear, you can see all those good things. Let me know in the chat if you can. If you can't, Sal's got a cuppa. Yes. Excellent. Bianca is here. Crafting cuppa at the ready. Sally said, well, she'd already had a cuppa. Okay. Good morning, Leanne. Great to see you. Great to see you. Leanne is racing to get her folding put away. Did you win? Is the folding put away? Let me find out. It's been girls making a cuppa right now. That's awesome. Teresa says, hello from the rainy state of Indiana. We've had a bit of rain here, which is kind of the problem because now it is hot and sunny and all the rain is being evaporated and it's humid and it's horrid. It's just horrid. It's so humid. Leanne says she's made it. She has sparkling water and a couple of fresh apricots. I saw that the stone fruit were at the shops this week. I didn't buy any, but I'm like, oh, it's here. It's my favorite time of the year for those sorts of things. Bianca says the weather is great here. Lies, Bianca. Where are you? Are you at home? Because if you're at home, you're lying. That's simple. It's been girl says, not terrifically hot here yet. 10,000% humidity. And Molly says that it is good and it is cool here in Adelaide. Now, I've just got to double check because I went outside and it was gross and now I ran back inside to my air conditioning. I mean, technically speaking, it's not super hot, right? You're right. It's 20, it feels like 28.6, so it's 26, feels like 28.6. This is centigrade, like Celsius. But it is 64% humidity. So, you know, I don't feel like I'm being a whingy baby. No, not a whingy baby. Oh, the view out the window is beautiful. Like, don't get me wrong. The view out the window is beautiful. But it is really, and around our yard, the yard is squelchy and it's not feeling good. Yeah, and 64 is not so bad, but that's at 10 o'clock in the morning. Wait until a bit later. Seriously. It's going to get gross. All right, in my cups, I have my 3 because I am the beverage goblin. We have coffee. We have extra strong English breakfast tea, which I may have let draw extra strong, so who knows? I could probably stand a spoon in it. And just a big thing of just water. Just stock standard, still water. Now, I've had, do you know how every now and again you just have one of those ridiculously productive weeks? Me. Now, not necessarily productive at all the things that other people may want me productive at. Don't get me wrong. My husband would like it if I vacuumed the floor. No, I'm busy right now, honey. So I have been really super busy. Now, I'm not sure if I told you, but I did finish the sun gold. Did you guys see the edging on the sun gold all finished? I can't remember if we saw that finished or not, but the sun gold is finished, ends woven in, needs a wash. I'm making like a pile of blankets. So I've got the pile's just here, so I'm just looking at it. The mosaic blanket is there. The sun gold is there. Please show it. Okay, I can just grab it. Give me 1 second. Righty, here it is. I mean, it's all folded up because it's enormous. It's a full single bed size. I'll do the top down camera so you can have a good look at the edging and stuff. Let me just lay it nicely. There we go. That's how it's looking all finished. So glad I went with the go through the third loop thing. I think that has actually just made the blanket so much nicer. I am super impressed. And so I did exactly what the pattern said, except for one thing. when I was working into these stitches, instead of just working over the top of the stitch like you would normally do, I worked into that third loop or the back loop of the half double crochet or half treble, depending on where you're from. And so you get this beautiful line of stitches. And then, and I worked out what I did wrong here. I'm not sure if you saw, I put a short up of like me unwinding. Oh, that's what it was. I got to that point in the live stream and then I unwound it afterwards. But yeah, it's, I only put one stitch there and one stitch there and one stitch there and one stitch there. But it was like one stitch there, two stitches there, one stitch there, two stitches there. And when I got off the live stream and was sitting out in the lounge room with it and I had the instructions up really close to my face instead of all the way over there on a screen, it had two written right there. I just missed it. It was just me. But yeah, so I've got, so this has just come out just so lovely. I'm just so happy with it. And usually I go a little off what they recommend for borders and just do whatever I want, but I went pretty close to what they suggested. And I was going to go like a red on the edge here and I tested it, but the orange just looks so much nicer because I was going to go for this red and it just didn't work. So I definitely am happy I went back with the orange. I just think it's just, I don't know, it's very nice. So I finished that, right? And you all know my goal at the moment is to finish as many projects out of my Ravelry queue as possible. And there's another blanket, there's a Scrappy blanket that's been sitting there for ages. And it's gotten zero love because it was packed away. It was put in a crate and it was out of sight, out of mind. So I pulled that back into sight. Oh, I agree. Look, I'm not super happy with these corners. I think something janky happened. So I am going to try and block them. But that's happened on all the corners. So it's got this pointy thing. And I don't know if I did something wrong, but the instructions definitely said 2, 2, and 2. So that's what I did. But anyway, it's not going to matter. It's really not going to matter in the long. I'm extra picky, okay? That's all it is. I'm extra picky, but I am so happy with this border that I would do this border again. That's how happy I am with it. So happy with the border. Okay, so I'm going to pop this one aside because I have another one that is this close to finished. Okay, are you ready for it? Here's the granny ripple. And I was up to, I think this green, maybe somewhere around there. So I added in like another 50 centimeters and then I started running out of black, which is, you know, kind of important. So what needs to happen is you can see where I can tell you exactly where I started again. Here. Do you know how we can tell? Because now I do all my crocheting in the way that I learned how to do for my Jethro. So I don't actually have to weave any ends in at the start and the beginning. So I just need to go in and because I've just got to weave in those ends. And then this blanket is done. There might be, I thought I saw an end in this purple stripe, but I'll check that too. So that's just got to get finished. And then this blanket is done as well. Now, I'm not going to put a border on it. I was going to, but I'm quite happy with it. Oh, this camera's really blown out now, hasn't it? It was lovely for the last colors. It's the contrast between the black and the color. So I was going to put a border on it, but I've decided I won't be. So this was the leftover Brava yarn. So do you remember when I made the big hexagons, the big hexagon blanket and laid it out on the floor and it was supposed to have all those little triangle pieces in it and I decided, nope, I'm not doing that. I'm just joining the hexagons. But I had an absolute ton of yarn left over. I made a whole other blanket. This blanket is 1.85 centimeters long. And I don't know how wide it is. Let me look. It'll be at least 120 wide. So that's yeah, like maybe 130. 185 long, 130 wide. So again, very close to single bed, if not just a really great, just a really great throw for the couch, throw off the couch. And there's actually still leftovers. So these are still the leftovers, still leftovers. So, so there's that needs doing. And so I was tossing up whether or not just to weave in these ends in this live stream, or whether or not to start a Scrappy blanket, using the leftovers from the what's it called? The sun gold. So let me have a look. I'm just going to scrub back here. Frances has already been out for a massage, so she's brought a coffee on the way home. Very nice. Love the chair. I have chair envy. I love my chair. And I was at the chiropractor yesterday, first full week in the chair, and I don't have to go back as often as I've been going back. She's already like, nope, I can already see a difference. You don't have to come back next week. So that is so good. Oh yeah, I think the sun gold is gorgeous. I'm loving how it's coming out. And the edge, it did look like a sunrise, you're right. Knitspin Girl says the edge looked really good. Couldn't see it well during the live on my itty bitty phone screen, but looks awesome in the shorts. Yeah. Sally, I kind of love those colors too. Yeah. Let's have a look at the sun gold, a blanket, love. Yeah, so I bought a kit, but I bought the Yarnsmiths kit. I'm not the biggest fan of the Stylecraft Special DK. I know some people love it. I'm not a big fan of how it feels, and I will say that the Yarnsmiths again is another one that I'm not super in love with, but I definitely preferred it. Sal said, I love your hair too. The curls in it are so cute. Oh, thank you. It was one of those situations where I know I had curly hair. My hairdresser knew I had curly hair, but the other hairdressers didn't. And because I went in and I had it pulled up in a bun and it was mostly straight with a little bit of a wave in it. And I've shown my hairdresser the photo that I wanted, and she was just like, are you sure? Because it was a big chop off. And I was like, yep. And she's like, okay. But the other hairdressers were like, no, it's not going to work. And my hairdresser was like, yeah, it will. And she goes, I'll make it work. And they're like, it's a curly hairstyle. It's not going to work. And so what she did was she actually just like sort of chopped off a pile of it, like got it all like sort of here. And then we went over to the basins and washed my hair so it was wet, so the curls kicked in. And then she started cutting from the bottom up rather than the top down, because that's apparently what you do for curls. It's part of curl cut. And the other hairdressers just sort of like, oh my God, how curly is her hair? So it went from like I don't have super curly hair, but from dead straight to this, it looks super curly. Yeah, it was the Brava. Yeah, there was a lot of leftovers. And what it was is because I bought the yarn based on the fact I was going to do something else. And then I didn't do that. I probably... There would have been some leftovers even if I had have done what I did, because I prefer to get too much yarn than not enough. Now, historically no, but now I do. So yeah, thank you, Tracy. I appreciate that. So yeah, it was just so it was just a change of plans, and because originally the Brava blanket, I think it was Stars and Flowers, had originally been just sitting in a cardboard box that all the yarn originally arrived in, taking up an enormous amount of space. And it just, I needed to get rid of it. So I had to sit down and decide what I was going to do. So a while back, I want to say at least a year ago, there'll be some videos, some live streams of us working on it. I was working on it, and then we just decided to join the actual, I decided just to join the motifs rather than make more. Do you have a short on how you deal with the ends? Molly, I don't, but that's actually a great idea. So are you talking about what I do now versus, or what I'll be doing with the ones, because I didn't know? Like, let me know. Yeah, because like I can save some of these ends to weave in for for a short afterwards, but I'll have to make something or work on something else to show what I do here. But there's also, Molly, are you in the Discord? Because in the Discord, we popped in a video, the video that I learnt to do it from. And it's in the Discord under the Jethro Make Along. Jancy found this amazing tutorial that basically means that you don't, like, you just, it was a game changer. Let's just say it's a game changer for me. Now, when it comes to crocheting, I've got color work. I don't go, oh my God, how many ends is that going to be? And make my color choice decisions based off how much weaving in there is. Because let me know in the chat, I make that decision. Like a thumbs up if you choose your project colors based on how many ends you're going to have to weave in. Like, do you use less colors? Because I definitely do. Sarah Dawn has made it to the chat. Good to see you. Sally is saying, don't forget to thumbs up and put your chat into live chat. Good point. I've got mine in top chat. There we go. Into live chat. We get them all in order and YouTube doesn't get to decide what we're going to see. I'm definitely enjoying my hair. Yeah, so it wasn't so much creep Gamer Widows, but it was like she sort of cut it to this, like cut off just, you know, a chunk of it, then washed my hair and then came in for the style cut. So it was about this long. I'm tossing up whether or not I'm going to get them to cut it just a little bit shorter, especially just around the top. The top's struggling to keep its curls properly. The back's okay, but the top is. Oh, you're not in the Discord, but we'll join. Would somebody mind grabbing, one of the mods, would you mind grabbing the link for the video that shows how to work your ends? I can't think of the name of the person, but I think it's the only video tutorial in the Jethro section. I agree. I hate weaving in ends. I hate weaving in ends so much. Oh yeah, that's right, Mod. You can just go do chat command for Discord now. All right, so I'm either going to work on this. Oh, I had something else I wanted to show you. I'm just going to plop. So that's what I mean. I've been doing so much stuff every day except for today because I woke up a little bit later and I got the stream ready instead. The make along for this year's stocking. So it's got afterthought heel in it. But this is where we're up to so far. I've got to get the 6 rows for today done. I haven't done them yet. I've just been putting the clips in the top just so it takes better photos. That's it. That's the only reason, because like without the clips, it's probably going to sit fine. I know it instantly rolled down. It just rolls down just a little. Doesn't look quite as crispy and nice. So I just put the little clips in the top just for taking the photos. Because if you don't follow me over on Instagram, you won't have seen, but I've been posting the photos every single day. So you can go over and check those out and stick a heart on all of those. That would be cool. But yeah, that's where we're at so far. So, but I have not worked on today's. Alrighty, so that one can go back down to the ground now too. I'm just trying to give myself some space. I had some things here I wanted to show and talk about. Takes forever to weave in the ends. Yes, it was. I've finished my project now of all these ends to weave in. Yay! Said no one ever. Yeah, right? Like, seriously. Gamer says, my hair needs a cut after post pneumonia. Hair loss wrecked it. Given its length, it'll be a fairly extreme cut. I think, like, from somebody who's not the biggest fan of having long hair, I love looking at long hair. I think it's beautiful. I don't like wearing long hair myself. But for someone who's had very long hair, I had waist length hair for a good portion of my life. And then chopped it up to shorter than this in one go. That hair went to a wig maker to make a wig or two for a lady who had cancer. I had a headache that instantly went away. And sort of pulling and neck pain instantly went away. It was surprising. Sal says, oh, sorry, what link did you want? I have worked out the front. Our workers out the front mowing the grass. It's okay. So in the Discord, in the Jethro thread, the link for working the ends in, or I don't know exactly what it's called, but there's a video there that Jancy shared the link for. That one, if you don't mind. Thank you. Francis says, I love the Christmas stocking. I'm loving it. Look, and I can really, you guys probably can't see, but I can really, this is last year's one. I can really feel the difference in my skill, if that makes any sense. This sort of color work and stuff is not my natural home, and practicing it on things that no one has to wear and doesn't need to actually stretch, that's a really good thing for me, because I was doing it too tight. And so now now I'm learning how to do it better. And so I think this other one is going to be a bit wider, even though it's the same number of stitches. But yeah, I just think that it makes I'm learning a fun skill. I'm learning a fun skill while making something special for my family. So I like that. Sarah Dawn says, am I the odd one out who doesn't mind weaving in ends? Look, I don't mind weaving in the occasional end, right? But I don't like weaving in 700 ends. And that's not an exaggeration. Some of the blankets I've worked on would have had easily 700 ends. And I don't like that. I don't enjoy that. That's not my favorite. One of the things I especially love about mosaic crochet is that you create the envelope border around it, so you don't have to weave in any of those ends in. You just got to secure them, like you tie them in a knot and stuff. So yeah, I don't like weaving in ends. Not now that I know. Oh, thank you. There's the link. Because I'm not a fan of just crocheting over the top of ends, right? I don't think that works. But this is not that. This video is not just crocheting over the top of your ends. So go and check that out. Sarah says, if I have a whole pile of ends, it's kind of meditating. I put on a super long podcast or something. And that's kind of actually how that is how the productivity stream started. I needed to weave in the ends for the other blanket, the actual motifs blanket for that Brava yarn, and because I didn't weave in the ends on each of the motifs as I went, and there was 30 odd motifs with 5 color changes in each motif, and there was a lot of ends. And so I made the productivity stream and went and just put on some music, and everyone did a job, and that's how it's kind of happened. Let me see. Oh yeah, I wouldn't say weirdo, skilled, not weirdo. By hook or by needles, Sam says that she actually doesn't mind weaving in ends either. Oh, there you go. And it might be because you do them as you go and not leave them at the end. That could be exactly why. Russell, how you going? Good to see you. Yeah, it's big chop. It's a big chop. It's a big chop. Oh dear. All right. So, but what about, I'm going to have some coffee first. There we go. So I'm not sure, because obviously I'm on an Arna and Carlos kick around Christmas. I always am. Whether it's Christmas stockings, Christmas baubles, or whatever. Go Russell. I get on the Arna and Carlos Christmas wagon. But something I found when I was like, because every morning right now, except for today, because I got up late, every morning I get up, I make my breakfast, I make my coffee, I go out into the living room, I grab my bag with my Christmas stocking, and while I'm eating my breakfast, I watch their daily podcast of the drop of the next part of the pattern. And then by the time that video's over, I've finished my breakfast, and so I sit there watching like other Arna and Carlos videos while I knit my 6 rows. And I saw a video of theirs of a blanket that they did. It's a Scrappy blanket. Now, I have just literally frogged a knitted blanket. It was going to be my first knitted blanket, and I was not enjoying it. Because it was triangles, join as you go. I just didn't enjoy the process at all. It was making the most squidgy, delicious blanket. Like the actual texture was 2 strands of Bendigo Woolen Mills cotton knit together on 3.5mm needles. It was coming up beautifully. I just didn't like the actual process of the joining as I go. I want to work out a way. So if someone's got a video and I want it and can show it to me, I want to work out a way to do like a miter blanket, but using like knitting keeper, like barber pole. Like, do I have any of it handy? You know, the barber's cord or whatever it is, like this stuff. I want a video showing me how I can set up a miter square blanket, wrapping that as I go, because I'm not super confident with the with that knitting keeper, stitch keeper, but I want to get better at it, and I think that would be a really good way to help me get over it. Sarah, I often leave them to the end, just do them in one fell swoop depending on the project. Yeah. Because I get caught up in the knitting, I forget to weave them in. I mean, and that's kind of what happens to me. I don't make the conscious decision of I'm not weaving these in. I'm like, oh, next color, oh, next thing. You know, I get sucked into the process. Let me look here. Alrighty, so what I do want to do is I want to go, I've got a screen share screen. Let me screen share it because we've got, you know, cool stuff. Let me just go big. There we go. All right, so this is my granny ripple blanket. Now, I know I haven't woven in the ends, but I'm finished, right? It's completed. It is completed, okay? So I do need to get some more photos for it. I think I actually grabbed some extra photos. Let me just... I'm like, wait a second. I just double check. It's just taking a little while. I do want to double check the photos. I'm like, I probably took, because I take photos of like inside of cupboards and stuff. Oh yeah, that's probably a good thing to check. No, I don't have a photo of the blanket. What I do have photos of is realizing, I'm really glad I took it off screen. I realized yesterday, or the day before, yesterday I think it was, that I had actually had my toenails painted the exact same color as my bath mat. So there's photos of my feet and my bath mat. So yeah, probably glad that I changed it. No, I don't have a new photo to add. So I won't be adding a new photo. Oh my goodness. Okay, that could have been terrible. All right, so we're gonna edit this project. It's 100%. I'm actually gonna give it an extra day on it because I'll sit down tonight and tomorrow and weave in those ends, and then it is finished. Okay, run down the bottom here and click save. Alrighty. So that one is done. So now we go back to my projects, right? And remember how the goal is now, I'm on a super wide screen, so I'm used to having 6 across, not 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, I'm used to only having 6 wide. This is a 32-inch monitor. It's a very wide monitor, okay? So my goal is to only have 6 current works in projects. Now that does not include this 3, the stocking cowl, because I'm keeping up. The easiest sock in the world, which I haven't started yet, and Winnie's Wonderland, which I haven't started yet. These are ones that I want to do that I haven't started yet. Okay, so I've still got the Jethro, the A-line cardigan whisper, which is in the naughty corner because somehow I stuffed up the collar and I'm gonna have to rip it back. And then I'm deciding, do I actually want to make it? The socks here, same deal. Do I actually want to make them? This blanket that I love and this blanket that I love. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're down to 5 projects here. Okay. Because that one's finished. That one's finished. Now the one that I binned, well, it didn't bin, I frogged. Hang on. Can I search for frogged? There we go. All right. I've frogged a few things over the years. It was this one, the cotton prism. Okay. Now I got further along than this. This photo only shows sort of the first square. I got into like the 5th square, so that like the 10th triangle, but I just was not enjoying the process at all. I wasn't enjoying it. So, and then I was coming up to the point where I was going to have to start working where I joined on the side and the bottom, or the other side, depending on which side the triangle was facing. But I was just like, I'm not looking forward to that. So I frogged it. So that's where that is at. Let me have a look here. I'm just double checking the chat here. Yeah, Molly, I've seen it on a heel flap. And that's why I'm like, I could do this on mitered squares, right? Because I love the idea of mitered squares. I don't like picking up stitches at all. By Hook Sam says that I'm doing 2 scrap blankets, 1 knit, 1 crochet, and not weaving in the ends. I'm doing an envelope border on both. Fantastic. That is awesome. That is awesome, Sam. Okay. There we go. Alrighty, so back to here. So what I wanted to show you was a project. I have technically started it, but I have not added it because I thought we could add it together. Is everyone all right with that? If we add it together. So I want to go to my patterns, and there it is right there at the top. And it's a Scrappy blanket. Now, I do have the book that this is in. I just bought the Kindle version. They have a YouTube video that basically tells you most of the instructions. Not quite all of the instructions I've worked out since buying the book, but most of the instructions. I'm going to name mine the Restagan Spled, which is, Molly, you'll need to put the link somewhere else. YouTube won't let you put it in the chat here. Only moderators can put that in the chat. The Restagan Spled. I'm just making that up. I don't know how to say it. Sun gold scraps. Sun gold. Should we call them scraps or leftovers? Like, which is better? Scraps or leftovers? But but Molly, I've got the link for Lauren Nelkin doing it with the heel flaps. So I've got that one. I think I'm gonna go with leftovers because there's a lot, right? There's a lot. Oh, there we go. Susanna says leftovers. Yeah, because like there's still out of that sun gold, most of the balls have at least, I wrote them down, 41 grams left. You know, 37 grams. A couple of them are less, like the ones that went onto the border, they're less. But the rest of the balls still have like 40 grams left, so they don't feel quite so scrappy. They're not like little 5-gram bits. Kelly says scraps because it'll help edit. I'm going to go leftovers and scraps. There we go, because Kelly's right. SEO all the way. Alrighty. Now we're going to edit the project. We are like, who puts in a finish by date? I never put in a finish by date. Okay, this one does not have to be done by the end of the year. It is not part of the end of the year goal because I'm just starting it. But I needed something that I could work on camera. So we're going to add a needle here. We're using a 3.25 millimeter. I am a fairly loose knitter. So I tend to go down needle sizes. They recommend a 3.5 mil for their 8 ply wool scraps. Yeah, I will put in, yeah, there we go. Leftovers, scraps, scrap blanket. There we go. Do we have to do hashtags, or is it just one word things? We'll find out, won't we? Yeah, Sarah, I agree with you, because that was the thing. I didn't really think of it as scraps. I thought of it as leftovers. Whereas, you know, if it's only 5 to 10 grams, that's scraps. So yeah, so we've got tags in there. It's going to be a blanket, so it's a home blanket. I'm just going to say throw. I don't know what it's going to be. Oh, thanks, Molly. I don't know what it's going to be yet because I don't know. Leanne says that she searches for leftovers rather than scraps. That's great. So, leftover yarns from making the sun gold blanket. Can I hyperlink in here? I can. So let's go to command projects. We want to open up the sun gold because I'd like to hyperlink my sun gold. Copy a link. Add in the, helps if I type in the correct word. Click here to see. And then to make it into a hyperlink, you highlight it, you add in your website, insert the link, and then that will be there. So don't remove any of the brackets or anything around it. So when we hit save, it'll just be bolded or underlined or something that'll just mean that you can just go and just click it. So you need to leave all the extra stuff. All this extra stuff has to be left here. So that it is clickable. So basically when I click save, like I'll just click save, right? We can go back in. See how it's blue now? And if you just click it, it sends you to the pattern. So, so that's how we hyperlink. I do love Stash Buster. So we're going to add Stash Buster here. So we're going to add that into the, actually, did that put the tags in correctly? Oh, it has. Good, good, good. See how the tags are correct as well? Because it's just single words for tags. So if you want scrap blanket, you have to get rid of the space, things like that. So I haven't put tags in a project for a long time, so I had to check it. Alrighty, so now we've got our knitting needle. Now we need to add our yarn. I wonder, is Yarn Smiths is here, right? Because Yarn Smiths create DK, there we go, colorway, light sage, and I have 0.408 grams left. And then we can copy and add another color. So I'm not going to go through and add all of the colors right now. I am just going to add the couple that I've already got. So if I lose their tags in the meantime, they're already in. I mean, I've got them all, and we totally could just go in and add them all, I suppose. Let me know in the chat. Should we just add them all in now while we're thinking about it, or come back later? Sugar plum, 0.362. It's been Kelly says if you click on the tag icon, it will provide suggestions. Tag icon. We've already got leftovers. We've already got stash busters. But yeah, there we go. That's our tags that it gives us. Alrighty. Add them all. Do it. Are you guys, like, I'm happy to sit here and do it if you guys are happy for me to. I have them all here. They all have their numbers written on them. There's only about 12 or 15 of them. I vote no, but then I'm biased. I have to stay off your screen till you leave Ravelry. Oh, okay. Even on dark mode. Okay. I knew that there was some people that couldn't cope with the light mode, but that's, and I'm not the biggest fan of light mode. So we'll give you a yell once we're done. So you can look away and work on your project. Alrighty. Yarn. Oh, wait, did I click add yarn or did I did. That's all right. I'll have to go. Because if you just click the, you know, copy and add another colorway, you don't have to go through the whole thing again, which I clicked the wrong thing. Yarnsmiths, create. Helps if I'm in the right box, hey? Yarnsmiths, create. Colorway. Copper. And we've got how many grams? 0.416. Done skids. Sal says that the iDiscord doesn't seem to be working. Oh, I'll have to check into that, Sal. But I thought it worked earlier. I thought I saw it was working for someone. Are the other things working? Check command for BMAC because it's the same setup. It's the same. It's in the same section. Copy and add another colorway. Alrighty, we have got plum purple. And it is 0.399. Copy and add another color. See, it's much faster if you actually remember to hit the copy and the copy colorway thing. Claret red. There we go, 0.373. Yeah, hydrate works, but hydrate is in a different section. Actually, I'm not sure if they'll work on this screen. I don't know if I've got them all over here. Oh yeah, I've got them here, I think. Comments, GIFs. Yeah. Bianca is 100% right, and I realized that as I was adding in the weights of what I'd used in the last project, and I was just like, if I'd only added them to my stash first, then I could have just added these from my stash to this project. But yeah, Sally, it's BMAC, just so you know, not just BMC. So yeah. Alrighty, claret red, got the grams, next color. Okay, so that doesn't seem to be working for Sally. Copy and add another colorway. Alrighty, next color. That's right, we won't worry about it. Mustard yellow. I'm nearly done. Home rapid repair. Drinking water. I've got water. Here we go. I will make sure I drink water. Good to see you, Larry. Thanks. And congratulations on your 10,000 subscribers on your channel. That is such awesome news. All right, I got to keep going so I can get off this screen so that those people that are photosensitive and can't deal with it can look back again. Add. What color is this? Vintage pink. Vintage pink. Colors. 362. Yeah, because this is definitely not like scraps, right? What are you? Amethyst. 42. Oops. 0.42. Francis says you can't believe it's been 3 years since you joined this lovely film. Has it been 3 years? Russell, look, I take my chair pillow off because my head blends into the chair. Not for long though, not for long. So I take it off while I'm streaming. Colorway, what are you? Spearmint green. And 0.4761. Quick. Getting down to the bottom of the bag. I think we've got the last 4 or 5 to go, but these are a bit more scrappy, mostly because they were the ones used on the border. Okay. Edit the project. I must have hit something else. I must have hit enter instead of, so we've got the spearmint, copy and add another colorway. We've got paprika. This was our edge color. 0.30. Color, lavender, and that is 26. This one's a bit more scrappy. This amount here is a bit more scrappy. Did you see the lumbar cushion in a matching color? I did see it, but I'm finding that the lumbar support I've got that I can adjust in is just perfect. So one thing I did buy, which I'll show afterwards, is I bought a new footstool. What color? Antique gold. I'm really glad I went through and weighed everything and wrote it on their labels just to make this process a bit easier. But the easiest way to do it is what Bianca said earlier, which is just put your yarn into your stash, which Kelly's just nodding her head. I can feel it already. Kelly's like, yes, put your yarn in your stash. And then once you've finished off one project, the leftovers will just be sitting there, and then you can just add them to this project or add them to the next project or whatever it is. Whereas I didn't add my yarn to my project, which I totally should have, but I didn't. So now I've had to add it into 2 projects instead of just adding it to Ravelry. So did I save time? No, I did not. Did I think I was saving time? Yes. Yes, I thought I was saving time. Can I feel Kelly's judgmental glare? Yes, I can. Last one. I think, yep, it's the last one. Pink berry. And it is 20. Rounding, Chantel, rounding. Okay, all right, they're all in. Just drop them out of the way. Alrighty, that is where we're up to. We've got that many scraps to use. Now, I do want to edit this section because I like to add a date where I start something so I can, you know, feel bad when I don't finish it for 2 years. I can be like, oh my God, I started that in November 2024 and it's December 2026 and it's still going. You know, like, cool. Alrighty, and I don't have any photos to add just yet. I'll get some later. Alrighty, so let's just stop the screen share. We'll go back down here to where I've actually started the work. We have left the Ravelry screens for those of you that needed to know. All right, let me look in the chat here. Yeah, so my pillow is just down here. I just pop it away because I look like I'm wearing a bun. I mean, I could probably leave it. Do not jam the tip of a tapestry needle under your finger. No, that's 0 stars. I don't recommend. Sarah says, 2 years. I have a doom box full of projects that are over 10 years old. A few years ago, I went through my projects and I frogged a lot of stuff and reclaimed some yarn. Because I just wasn't willing to have that self-judgment, harassment going on. Now, there are parts of this project that I will happily mention, as in the things that Arna and Carlos talk about in their video. So it's just 8 ply, 3.5 mil needles. This is what they used in their video. And then cast on 250 stitches, and you're making vertical stripes, not horizontal stripes. So you already make the width. No, you've already made the length, I think is what they say. And now you just work to as wide as you want it. Obviously, if you've got lots of yarn and you can make it really wide, you can flip it around the other way and make that the length. But if you think about it, that this is already the width, or the length, and you're just making extra width, then it's easier to not, it's easier just to stop and start and stop and start. Now, I personally have never knitted an acrylic blanket. I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about it. I may frog this. I may go, you know what? I can't cope. This is doing my head in. But I'm not going to make that judgment on the first few rows, okay? I'm just not. So, yeah. Sarah says, yeah, I'm paring them down, but there are a few projects I do like enough. I just keep getting work knitting, so they keep getting put aside for deadlines. Yeah, I get that. I get that. Back burner projects. What I had to do for my back burner projects that I really wanted was I actually had to put limits on work that I was accepting when I was doing it was crochet rather than knitting, but when I was a stitcher for a designer, I had to put limits on how much per day I could do for the designer. So I did 8 hours a day for the designer, unless there was a special rush, and then they actually paid extra for the rush work. But yeah, so it was 8 hours a day only for crafting, because it was my full-time work. And then the craft outside of those 8 hours was theoretically supposed to be my crafts. So yeah. Every second row. So you do 2 rows and come back. And then what they do, because they are using little scraps, they're using ends of balls and things like that. So they just work until they run out of yarn, but I've still got considerable amounts. So I'm thinking I'll probably change colors, like, move on to another color, maybe every 3rd or 5th repeat. I got to think about odd numbers, so you do you. But yeah, it's just one of those things. Sarah says, we designers love you stitches, by the way. Sample makers are so helpful. Yeah, it's especially if, because the designer I was working for had a lot of work being published in magazines and things like that. So it was just a case of she physically couldn't do it all. So she would send me the yarn and I would do it and then send it back to her, and she would block it and finish it and ship it off for the photographers. So sometimes there was rush work, but usually I was able to get what I needed done in the time frames that I had. But it just came down to me understanding what time I had available, and even now, like, even though I don't stitch for designers, even now I could quite easily take on so much of my client work for live streaming and for my other side of my business that I didn't have time for craft. I could totally do that. I could work way more hours than I do. But not all work is equal. So some I say no to just because I don't actually, I'm not the best fit for what they want. And then B, I want to have time in my life. I don't want to work 24/7. I want a weekend, albeit my weekends are generally Sunday and Monday. I want a weekend. And so, just planning things out so that I've got a little bit of a balance. I like to be able to sit down and cook, not sit down, but cook dinner and sit down with my family for a couple of hours after dinner. But, I'm happy to work again after that. Just different things. And we just have to work out what it is that suits us. And this is the same for those of us that have full-time jobs and are trying to work out craft and want to do crafty side hustles. As someone who created a whole business, like Fiberific happened around my passion for yarn craft, I say be wary. Be wary of turning your hobby into your work. Be wary. It's not going to be what you think it is. It's not all bad, and do it if you really want to. But just be aware there's paperwork that has to be done. There's taxes that have to be lodged. Like, there's that whole side of it that a lot of people forget. They just think they get to craft all the time. I got to do less craft when I was working Fiberific full time. So, yeah, it's one of those things. I got to do less once when Fiberific was running full time. I did a lot less craft. This is why, despite being a gamer, I will never ever run a gaming channel, because while the knitting and crochet is now my job, the gaming is now my own fun. Yeah, you have to think about these things, like, and not to say not to do it, because some people can work the balance perfectly and it's just so awesome for them. But you do just have to consider more than just, I'll get to craft all the time, because it's not how it is. Hey Holly, good to see you. So yeah. And I realized the other week that we've done a lot of crocheting. We haven't done much knitting lately. So I was like, you know what? I am going to, because I wasn't going to start this project. I was going to weave in the ends on the blanket and then keep, because I've got other projects that I've got to get done for Christmas that are for Christmas gifts. And so, but I don't want to do those on camera. So I'm trying not to add in any extra projects that I'll feel any pressure to work on off camera, because I've got other things to do. That's my brain paused. I've just got other things I want to work on. So this will be a good one because it uses up the leftovers, because these are not scraps. These are well and truly leftovers of this blanket. I mean, technically I probably could have crocheted up a little throw, like just a small little knee rug or something. I didn't want to do that. It's just what it boiled down to. And quite often I've actually got a friend that I give a lot of my leftovers and scraps to, because she uses them for charity work. But I just wanted to make this work. Sam says, I agree, I'm making less things now than before I started my channel, but I'm still having fun. And that's the thing, isn't it? I realized during Fiberific how much I love YouTube and how much I love helping other people with their YouTube adventures. And so that's become my full-time job, is working for other creators. Sarah says, the best thing I did was a business development program. That was the mind shift for me between hobby versus business. Yeah, you've got to work. You've got to think out what works. Does the fiberific.com.au/Discord link not work either? Just out of curiosity. Sarah says, I make more things, but I rarely get the chance to make something from someone else's pattern, and I do miss that. That was a big thing for me because I was a yarn dyer. I wasn't working with anyone else's yarns except for mine, or mostly just about no one else's except for mine. And when I had to stop dyeing yarn, it was a real eye-opener and just real like world opener to be able to work with somebody else's yarns again. So, and there's nothing to say I couldn't have worked with other people's yarns more often. I just felt that I needed to work with mine because it was my channel and it was my yarn, and it kind of made sense, you know, like Sarah, you're working on your own patterns for your own channel. So yeah, you kind of get into this sort of corner. Oh, okay, the link's not hyperlinked. All right. I'm not quite sure. I'll have to go in and check it. I do want to go in and add in some more of the chat commands too. But I do want to say like a huge thank you to everybody who's chipped in and who's still chipping in over on the chair fund. I've left it there because I put it on my credit card, so I'm still paying it off. But yeah, it's just one of these things where if you want to jump into my buy me a coffee and add in a coffee, where is it? That widget wasn't alive, so I don't know why that wasn't there. And then let's add that there. We'll move it down to here. Just double check that Louie's not there because his little bed cam could turn on at any minute. So yeah, if you want to chip in and buy me a coffee and help with the chair fund, that would be amazing. Yeah, the patterns, when patterns have deadlines. Yeah, when anything work-wise has a deadline, like you've really just got to put everything down and just work on that, don't you? So I was thinking about like, do I make this, you know, because I was like, oh, I want to try this blanket. So, you know, it was like, I want to try this blanket, but do I want to make it with the leftovers from this project or the leftovers from some of the other projects? Like I've got leftovers of the mosaic blanket project, and I've got leftovers of of the Brava, but I was just like, and unfortunately, like, you know, Aaron and Carlos, they tend to use a lot of the same yarn for a lot of the different things. They have a lot of leftovers in the same yarn brand and weight, whereas I jump around like a crazy person. So yeah. It's one of those things. I'm going to have another drink in a second. I hope you're all keeping hydrated in the chat. Alrighty, we're nearly changing rows. So yeah, so I'll keep doing these two colors together for a few rows, and I'll probably change one of them out for another color for an extra couple of repeats. You're all tangled up. What are you doing? Get away from that. There's no hard and fast rules. Like that's the thing. It's designed for scraps. So, you know, you just use what you've got. So if you've only got enough for a row, then you use the row. There's no rules. I'll see if I can find a picture. I'm just looking at their picture. It's on Ravelry. Actually, their website would have some. Hang on a second. Arnett and Carlos. Can I search? Scrap. Nope. What's the name of the blanket? I don't know what it's called. I can't remember that. That's a big long word in another language. Let's see. I don't think I could buy the pattern as an individual pattern because it was part of book blankets. But I jumped onto no, it's not even on their website to look at. Well, that's annoying. That's annoying. Yeah, German's shocking for that, isn't it? Yeah, I studied German for 5 years. It was very fun. Yeah, I can't find another site other than Ravelry. Oh, YouTube. I wonder if I could just find the thumbnail for it. YouTube. Arnett and Carlos. I'm looking. Scrap. Because I think they called it a scrap blanket. Which is, you know, how I found it. I didn't even know they did a scrap blanket.
Struggling to survive the heat?
I am not logged in, therefore I'm being served an ad, and it's not skippable.
Have an expensive air conditioner. I've got the
Now it is. I'm just gonna see if I can scrub through a video, and hopefully they show a. There we go. All right, I'm gonna screen share this section of the blanket, okay? There you go. So see how scrappy that is? Like in their book, they've made it all gorgeous lines and stuff. This is a legit scrappy blanket, right? Let me just see if I can go full screen. There you go. That's a legit scrappy blanket. Like, yep, look over on this section here. You've got some nice little neat, you know, bits of 2 rows of each color kind of thing. But they've gone hardcore scrappies in the middle. So I just think that you can just do whatever you want with it, right? And you can break up the colors however you want. Like here, they've done the 2 stripes of like the single colors, and it just settles nicely. Here, they've just got a block of 1 color, you know, or 2 colors that are so close together you can't actually tell. So yeah, it's, you just, and look at this. See, Nispin Girl says, do you have to have enough for the whole row? No, look at this. They just joined a new color in here or in here. You don't have to have enough for the whole row. Holly, I am working on this garter blanket by Arna and Carlos. It's using up, it's a scrappy blanket. So, Sarah says using the Russian joins if you don't even have a full row. Yeah. And they do that. They do the little shove it, the needle through the yarn thing. I haven't gotten up to that yet. And Russell says if you don't like the result, you can donate it. Oh, there's plenty of places we can donate blankets to. Absolutely, whether you're in the US or other countries, for sure. If you don't like it, you don't have to keep it. Oh, I've just about lost a stitch and nearly pulled it off there. That would have been clever. Clever me. So yeah, so you definitely don't have to have enough to finish rows. You just have to, you know, have enough to have a go with, really. Let me just drop that back out of full screen. Back over to my other screen where my informations are so I can see. So yeah. It is. It's a free-for-all blanket. And the other thing is, well, yes, having the pattern out of the book is nice. It's not necessary. And they give a lot of instructions in that video. So, yeah. They've made the video very scrappy, and their instructions from the pattern in the book do not vary much. I feel a bit bad for saying that. They do vary a little, like for just some finishing tips and things like that. But other than that, the actual 250 stitches, 3.5 mil needles for 8-ply yarn. Off you go. Holly says, love it. Would love to do a true scrappy blanket using a magic book. And the other thing I love about this, right, is it is just garter. It's not stockinette. It's just garter. You're not having to purl 300 or 250 stitches. It's just garter. So that to me makes it an easier pick down and put down and pick up job, because you don't have to think about, oh, where am I up to in this pattern? You just got to make sure you're working in the right direction. That's it. So, if you've got kids, if you've got things that you have to stop and start on, or you're watching a TV show or whatever, you can just go forth and just make it. Sarah says, now I'm wondering what it would do if you use a bunch of different yarn thicknesses. Well, as long as those thicknesses can be worked on the same needle tips, otherwise you're going to be changing needle tips out all the time, I can't see a problem if you want a nice textural blanket. Just like weaving, if you want to weave with a few different weights of yarn, it creates an interesting texture. I'm like, I don't even want to mix 8-ply acrylics, right? I'm using the Yarnsmiths Create. And when I run out of the Yarnsmiths Create pile that we just added into this project, I will probably end the blanket. That'll be like, that is it. That is how long this blanket is. But everyone's different, and we all have, oops, hello, I'm trying to fix this camera angle up. Everyone's different. We all have different things that like are acceptable to us. Me doing a scrappy blanket in itself is stressful, okay? Because I'm like, I want to make sure I have enough yarn to get to the ends of the rows. I want to do, blocks of color, I'm like already trying to plan it, but it's a scrappy blanket, right? It's a scrappy blanket. So it's supposed to be scrappy. I'm just like, oh no, I'm going to make it pretty, and I'm going to control all of the elements of it. Gosh. Or keep it on hold until you finish another Attic 24 plank. Absolutely. That's another option as well. Is just, because I love the Attic 24 blankets, and she designs in the Yarnsmiths and the Special DK. So, hopefully I can pick up kits in either. Or I will have to create a kit if they don't do it in the Yarnsmiths. And go from there, because you're right, and just have it sort of fade into the next batch of colors. So yeah, because that's the thing I'll say about Special DK, and if you've been around here before, you've heard me, is it feels not awesome, right? And that's what I don't like about it. But I totally understand why designers use it. It has an extensive range of colors, but Yarnsmiths Create, or Yarnsmiths yarns, have a similar sized range of yarns. This is the in-house yarn for Wool Warehouse, and they have just released a pure merino. No, this is not Stylecraft DK. This is Yarnsmiths Create, the Special DK. No. I don't like it. I don't use it. I used it for one blanket and just went, yeah, no. And the bag of leftovers got moved to someone else. I didn't even want to work with the leftovers. Yes, I know Abby still has her blanket. Abby has the spring, so winter, spring, whatever it is, the other one. Abby has that one in her car. It's still there. And she has the thermal blanket in the cotton acrylic in her bedroom. She is a blanket goblin and steals all the blankets. I've had to hide all of the recent makes because none of them are for her. So, because I'm like, you have enough. You have enough. Yeah, and Stylecraft DK, like that's the thing. They have fantastic color range. And it's wonderful. And that's my biggest gripe about the Knit Picks Brava. I love Knit Picks Brava. It is my favorite acrylic. But it has such a limited range of colors that it's disappointing. Like, yeah, sure, it's got a few colors. I think it's got like what, 40 colors? But when you compete, like trying to do patterns that are using Stylecraft, which has 120 colors at least, then I struggle to be able, I end up having to use something else because I can't use the yarn I want because I can't have the sheer number of colors that I need, like that match together nicely. Leanne says that she has seen all the new colors, and just for now that merino is on sale. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Although, look, I'm going to say something. If you're in Australia, you should probably still be looking at getting your yarn from the Australian Yarn Company and getting her merino, honestly. It's amazing. In saying that, I will be getting some of the Yarnsmiths merino because I want to test it out and I want to compare it. And I want to see if it's a comparable yarn. Yeah, Sarah, see, for Special DK, we're looking at, what is it at the moment, you guys? Like, to have a ball of Special DK in Australia, you're looking at about $8, like $8 Australian dollars. Whereas, like, so it's not cheap. And I can order, like, the kits of, like, 15 balls from the UK for about 75 Australian dollars, including postage. So, yeah, I don't know. Sarah said, no, I thought our exchange rates were bad. Yeah. So, I think for the US, the exchange rate, like Australia to the US, is at about 65 cents. I'd have to check. But for the UK, it's at about 50 cents. So you kind of have to double the price. So, but you know, exchange rates are volatile, and it's always good to keep an eye on the markets to work out where's the best place to buy our yarns from. Like, I still buy yarn from Hobie, and that's all US dollars. I buy yarn from Knit Picks, and that's US dollars. You know, like, you just have to understand the exchange rates, and that our options in Australia aren't that great. So we quite often have to buy overseas anyway. Leanne says, thank you for your sacrifice. Because we have to try the new yarns. Yeah, we do. Sarah says, I'm lucky enough to have access to Briggs and Little Mill. They're a workhorse wool and they're quite inexpensive. That's awesome. That's so good. I'm glad you've got access. We have Bendigo Woolen Mills, which is our nearest mill. It's actually the only mill in Australia. Well, Nundle as well, but Bendigo Woolen Mills is the only big mill left in Australia. And they do some good stuff, but again, not great color ranges. Like, they're like, oh, wow, look at us. We've expanded our range to 16. And you're like, yay, that's great. And then 10 of those are dodgy colors that you're not interested in. So yeah, I'm not bitter. I'm totally bitter. I'm totally bitter. Yeah, totally bitter. Yeah, Bendigo have a flash sale on now. It's Prism, the multicolored sock yarn, and basic sock yarn. Oh, that's cool. That's nice. I'm trying to be really good and not buy any yarn right now, guys. I may have over purchased for the Christmas projects, and I have to get that done to make space for absolutely anything else ever, because I bought like 5 blanket quantities of yarn that, you know, it's not all going to be made into blankets, but I didn't want to run out, you know. So in my little tiny workroom here, tucked away to one side, taking up an enormous space. But yeah, I do get frustrated, like, with these companies that are like, we can't compete with the big companies. It's like, yeah, because you won't put out enough colors. And they're like, yeah, but to make a color, we have to, you know. And I'm like, I get it. I was a dyer. I really get it. But I can't dye yarn anymore. So that's the problem. I can't dye yarn anymore. Otherwise, I'd still be a dyer. So I am limited to what other people are making. So I love that the Australian wool store has so many great choices in colors. In like Australian wools, like that. Like for me, if I'm looking for particular colors, hands down, that's where I go. And so I definitely do that. And I wouldn't buy cream of anything to dye it. I'll be honest. Cream puts a yellow hue under everything. If you want to over dye yarn, get the lightest gray that you can. And it creates a beautiful depth of color. But yeah, I wouldn't get cream. I would also look, and some companies, and Bendigo will do it as well. You can buy their undyed yarn. So undyed is not cream. So, well, I mean, technically undyed is a cream usually, but you can buy an undyed rather than a cream as well. Alrighty. Okay, I'm just changing back to the purple. I'm not changing actual colors. Knitspin Girl says, me, buys 10 balls of yarn, start knitting, sees how fabulous the yarn is, buy 30 balls, repeat until the end of time or the house explodes. Oh my gosh, it's a bit like that. Like, yeah, yeah, agreed. Oh yeah, the colors constantly change in and out. That is frustrating as well. That is. Sarah's right. It's not like yarn goes bad. Absolutely. In saying that, keep an eye on your what are the words I'm trying to use? Acrylics and non-natural fibers. I bought some. It was an acrylic milk blend mix, and I had it tucked away. It was in a dark space. It wasn't being hit by sunlight. I was like, oh, I finally found the perfect project. Like 4 years later, I picked it up and it turned to powder in my hand. It literally turned to powder, and I'm sort of just like, and it was itchy as well. And I'm like, what the heck has just happened here? I'm like, I would be so frustrated if I had have made something out of that and washed it a few times and it disintegrated. But this was like, I was like, this was a bit special. I'd paid decent money for it. Admittedly, it was 3 to 5 years earlier. And yeah, it did not last. So I would say go hard in buying natural fibers. They last forever as long as the bugs don't eat them. And keep an eye on your acrylics. In saying that, I've had some acrylic that's been cared for less than that one. That's been fine. It just depends. So just keep an eye on them. That's all. Nundle has a lot of undyed options. They do. They really do. So if you want to have a go at dyeing, you can absolutely get your hands on some undyed. But I would say if you are going to be trying some dyeing for yourself, either get some undyed or get something dyed in a light grey. Or if you want like really deep jewel colors, go for more of a medium grey. Because as a dyer, to get those deep colors, the yarn had to be dyed multiple times anyway. So you're actually just saving the time by buying it already dyed in one color. And make sure you soak it in something that has a surfactant. I use the Gentle Cleanser from Tantec, like the Gentle Wash, because no matter not new, whatever, to get those yarns through the milling process, they're actually coated, like very lightly coated in an oil. And if you want to dye them, you need to get that oil off. So, and it doesn't take much. It just takes soaking in a bucket for an hour. But it also helps the whole yarn get coated as well, rather than just the outside of it get some color and the white still stay middle. So that is fiber rot, and it can spread in your collection of man-made fibers. Yeah, it was, luckily for me, it was just in this one drawer, and the only thing in that drawer was that one kind of yarn, and none of the other yarn around it was affected, like in the other drawers. But it did take out the whole lot. The whole lot went. So yeah, it was my first experience with it. So the shock was, you know, I was just like, what the hell has just happened here? I didn't know it was a thing. I thought yarn lasts forever. Apparently not all yarns. Now, and admittedly, this one was a milk and acrylic blend. So I don't know what that meant, but let's just say it didn't mean it was lasting a long time. All right. Yeah, I agree. It shouldn't do that. I agree with you, but it did. Yeah, I think supporting Australian, like we're Australians, so supporting an Australian company is a good idea. And if you're in the US, support your US companies that are manufacturing in the US. And if you're in the UK, same deal. If you support the local mills, they are less likely to be able to stay in business and be able to supply you longer with local products. But I understand we can't all do that. So, oh yeah, some really old acrylics go hard and crunchy for sure. I just bin those. I can't use them. Leanne says, I keep little bowls of cloves or cedar chips in my craft room, which can help keep the moss out. I use cedar chips, yeah, because I'm allergic to lavender, so I can't do the whole, you know, bag of lavender will do it. And I can't do mothballs. The naphthalene makes my asthma real bad. So yeah, cedar chips and cloves are such a great way to go. And I also love that there's various options that work. So if people like me who have reactions to certain things, someone's probably got a reaction to cedar or to cloves, so they've got options as well. So yeah. So it's very weird. Oh no, in a boot in Australia is a trunk. Like as in a trunk of a car, if you're in the US. I think, is it a boot in the UK? I don't know. I'm all tangled and I don't like it. Long cables, lots of knitting, long yarns. I don't like being all twisted up. I'll fix it at the end of the row. Grr. Okay, so this week's viewing has been lots of CSI. I started CSI back at the start a little while ago and jumped back in, like had a pause and jumped back in. I have not as yet caught this week's episode of NCIS Origins. So yeah, I'll be getting that one this afternoon while I'm having my lunch probably. Hello SMA Sky, how are you going? Good to see you. So it's 250 stitches that I cast on for this particular one. I'm not sure how wide that's going to be. I don't know. I'm just doing what the pattern said. I'm blindly following the pattern. Do you know what? You know, if I actually go to the pattern, it may actually give a measurement. No measurements. Let's have a look here. Lots of people have made it. So I'm just having a look to see if anyone's written in the measurements. Oh my goodness. Those of you that can Ravelry need to go and follow my link. So let me just go. Let's just pause and let my brain catch up. Alrighty. I'm gonna throw it in the chat here. Those of you that can Ravel, you can go and follow the pattern. And I was just looking at the other people who've created it, and they've done gorgeous work. Let's just say that. That's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous work. Now, I do want to see, did anybody put the size of their blanket? Someone's using Peyton's Dreamtime. That looks amazing. Someone's used it to make a cardigan, which I love. Did somebody put the pattern size? Okay, so maybe it's not showing up in the project notes. Let me look at this one. This one looks very thorough. Okay, alrighty. So this person, they're using a 4mm needle. Theirs is 130 centimeters by 2 meters. And they used 3,900 meters of yarn. And it took them 3 months. November 1 through to February 19. Legends. What about this one? Yeah, okay, so because the actual, when you're looking at everyone's projects, it doesn't list out like the size that they've made. So, okay, so this width makes about the 120 to 130 centimeters, and then you just keep going. And you could always, if you wanted, pick up all the stitches and knit a border around the outside if you really want to. I'm not going to want to do that if I can avoid it. I might crochet a border. I don't think I'd pick it up and knit it. I think I would have to stab myself in the face. It's like, tell us how you really feel, Chantel. Nisbingo says, what's your gauge? I don't know. I've done this much. I haven't measured anything. I didn't do a swatch. It's a scrap blanket. I'm just doing it. I should probably check. Like, I could do a quick ad of how much, I could do a quick ad of how many meters of yarn I've got, right? Because I've added all that in now. Where's the calculator? Calculator. It'll be like added up and it'll be like, I've got like 4,000 messages here. All right, calculator. Okay, let me have a look here. Oh, do you know what? I don't even need to calculator it. It has a total. It has a total written there. I've got about 1,600 meters, which is so not enough. I'm sad now. Like, what other crap have I got the same gauge? Oh dear. All right, I'm gonna go and look at some of the other projects and see if somebody else did what they did with about 1,600 meters. Like, will I get even a 1 meter square, you know? Because she used 3,000 meters to get it to 2 meters long. Oh, that's all right, Sarah. I'm just like, I thought I had more than that. I thought I had more yarn than that. But I do not. That one used 4,000 meters. Most of them don't easily tell you, like you're gonna have to dig into them to find out how many meters they used. It's a lot of meters of scraps. I can just go back later, right? Let me look at this one. That one looks very scrappy. It looks like they've actually come back and knitted on an edge, or they flipped it over. Yeah, that's 3,600 meters. Yeah. I'm gonna have to add extra yarn. I thought the scraps from this blanket would be fine. The answer is no. No, it's not even half of what you need to make a decent sized blanket. You donkey. Next time, you should actually research it before you cast it on. Laughed at your knitted border face. Yep. What's the meterage on this? Let me have a look. It is 100 grams, 290 meters. I'm just trying to think what other... I think what's going to have to happen is what I think Knit Spin Girl said earlier, which is just work with what I've got until I'm done, and then put it aside until I get my next Attic 24 project, which I usually get in January anyway. I normally try to do one a year. I haven't been getting any advents, and hopefully she does another one in January. I have worked out that I just can't keep up to that pace that they do, not and get anything else done at all in my life. So, you know, there's that. Yeah, might have to do it in 2 or 3 lots, and that's okay. That's all right. It'll be easier to store part of a blanket on some cables, or even on some Knit Keeper, because I've bought like a 30-meter roll from eBay or Amazon or something of it, so I can just make a nice big long piece and just pop it on there until it's time to start knitting again. But that's okay. That's all right. This can be a long-term project. Like, I mean, have you met me? All my projects are long-term projects. So, yeah. Where are we at? Oh, we're doing all right. I've just realized the time. I'm like, oh my goodness. Yeah. So, does any of you have about 3,000 to 4,000 meters of scraps or leftovers that you could utilize, or would you all be ending up doing what I'm going to be doing, which is going to be you know, this of putting it aside and working back on it later. This Spin Girl says the next Attic 24 blanket is going to be called Canal Boat, but I haven't been able to find any pictures of it yet. Huh. Interesting. I hadn't heard anything yet. I'll have to have a look. Sarah says, maybe I have a lot of half balls and such, but I don't know if I have that much. Yeah, that's the same thing for me. I thought, you know, like this was going to be plenty, but maybe not. Knit Spin Girl says, a queen size blanket wouldn't even put a dent in my scraps. See, in my sock yarn scraps, yeah, I could knock out something pretty decent. But in my acrylic scraps, I don't use acrylic that often, so prob's not. I tend to use more natural fibers if I can. I like to make blankets out of cotton if I can, but a lot of the blankets that I'll be making over the next few months are acrylic. So they're just not this acrylic. And I don't think they have the same meterage. So they would be weird. One thing that I do appreciate is people who, and I'm not one of these people, I need to clarify that, is people who sort their leftover scraps and keep them stored together. So like, oh, this is my Nitpicks Brava. In saying that, all my Nitpicks Brava is in this crate, even stuff from other projects. But that's the only one that I do it with, is the Nitpicks Brava. Everything else is just like, oh yeah, just shove that in with the acrylics of that kind of color. Go from there. But I tend not to sort them by their yarns, but maybe I should. Sarah says all my blankets are washable wool for warmth or acrylics. Yeah, see, I like making mine out of machine washable cotton, so you get the weight, but they're not too hot, because we want the weight but not the warmth. Leanne says I put everything at the time in my queen blanket. After that, I've used plenty in beanies or passed it on to Janet for charity blankets. Yeah, and that's what I've been doing. I've been passing a lot of my stuff on for charity projects. So anything that, like any leftovers or ends or any yarns that I purchased in error, like changed my mind, I have passed on to charity work, so that I don't have to feel guilty that it's gone to waste, because it has not gone to waste. I'm just not using it. And I think that's a really important thing, that especially those of us with considerable stashes, we don't have all the time in the world to work on things. And sometimes there's just stuff in your stash because it's too good to throw out, but you don't necessarily want to work on it. I would find a charity group that does blankets or jumpers or beanies or whatever it is that make things to donate to charity, and I would give them the yarn. Sarah says, I see we need the warmth for the winter, though. A cotton blanket would be great for the super humid southern Ontario summers. Yeah, see, we have a lot more humidity. Like our winter is not normally long or all that cold. And an acrylic blanket will be fine for that. Whereas in summer you want the sort of the weight and the comfort of a blanket, but you don't necessarily want the warmth, because it's 11 o'clock at night and still 30 degrees Celsius with like 70% humidity. You're just sort of laying there trying to sleep, but it's just disgusting. And who can sleep in a vat of soup? Not me. Yeah, Knitspin Girl says, I think winter was on a Tuesday this year. We actually had a longer winter this year here in Brisbane. I don't know about you guys, but we actually had a few weeks of winter. It was shocking. I didn't know what to do. I didn't have that many long sleeve shirts. No, I do. I've got plenty of long sleeve shirts. I was fine. But yeah, that's the extent of our winter. Oh no, I have to wear a long sleeve shirt with my linen pants instead of a t-shirt. And maybe a hoodie at night because it's cold outside, or it gets cold in this room too. Sarah says minus 40-degree winters and then 40-degree summers are both weather that can happen here. It's wild, and we get stupid humid too. The joys of being right by the Great Lakes. Gosh. I mean, those lakes are pretty dang nice though, right? And with minus 40, you'd be getting snow, wouldn't you? Like, you get to ski, you get to do snow things. We're just hot. We don't get to do anything fun in the cold. And our cold might get to -1 overnight in winter. Maybe, usually not. Like, on a particularly bitter night, it might get to -1 where I am. So I'm in Brisbane, which is technically, I think we're technically subtropical. So, yeah. I'm definitely going to need to sit down and organize a date for a members only Discord chat where we can all sit together and craft together. So I'm going to be checking out the calendar. So if you are a channel member, keep an eye on that. That will be coming up soon, probably next week or two. So we can have one in before Christmas. I'm hoping to get another one in before Christmas, like early December as well, but we'll try and get one for November 1st. And then we'll think about December. So, oh, there you go. Nitspin Girl says that she's technically subtropical and she's in northern New South Wales. So she's a couple of hours south of me. So yeah, subtropical. So I've been watching Christmas movies. I saw a new one yesterday I hadn't seen before, which had Terry Hatcher in it. That one was funny, sort of. Sad, but funny. Lots of digs at older ladies, which she battled well. Leanne has gifted a channel membership. Oh my goodness. Leanne gifted one Fiberific membership and it went to Bianca. That is amazing. I'm so glad that it went to someone who chats. Sometimes the channel memberships get gifted and you're like, I don't even know that person's name. They never make it for a live and you feel awful. So Bianca will be able to join in for a channel membership convo. So if that is, I think the channel memberships that get donated are the middle tier, and so these Discord calls are for memberships of the not the ad skippers, but the coffee level tiers. So whether it's artisan or, oh my gosh, I forgot the other name of the other coffee tier. It's not just that, Sarah. It's YouTube works it out based on how many people have watched your content, and they may be avidly watching your VOD content rather than your live streams. So yeah, lots of things in play there. Attempting to see if my Cricut still works. Haven't used it in ages. Oh, I've got my fingers firmly crossed, Alison. Make sure, like, so firmly crossed. I'm really hoping it works for you. Yeah, because while the biggest perks for channel membership are for live streaming, in my opinion, there's plenty of like advantages even if you don't watch live streams. So, you know, members only content, things like that. All right, now let me just detangle this a bit before I pick up the, I gotta change color again. So I want to make sure I'm not all tangled. Oh, there we go. I was waiting for a row to feel easier to work on because it, you know, normally takes me a couple of rows to relax. And there it is. Wood, that's faster. Oh, I wanted to show you guys my new footrest before I go too far. It was very expensive. It was like 20 or 30 bucks off Amazon. You know me, I'm a bit of an Amazon junkie. And it came in this tiny little box and I'm like, that is not the footstool I ordered. I ordered it like what was supposed to be like this long, right? I'm going to change it. It was supposed to be like this long and I'm like, what is this? Anyway, so what it was, it had been tightly rolled in a thing and then vacuum sealed, and they're like, let it pop open and rest for 24 hours before you use it. I'm thinking, this is supposed to be like super duper foam. How is that supposed to relax and rest? Let me just give it, it's been under my feet. It just needs a little. It needs a little shush, okay? Before I put it on camera. And it's actually got a second piece. This piece here. to give it some height, which it velcros to. Boom. So you can have the two pieces together, but because I'm putting it on top of an existing hard footrest and I just needed a little bit of extra height, then I can just take that off and just take this bit and just use that. But it's actually like pretty firm. I was actually really surprised. And the whole cases can be zipped off so that it can be washed. And it looks like it's not too hard to get it in and out of it. Like, obviously be a bit of a pain in the butt, but it can totally be washed, which I just love. And the bottom piece as well has got zips to be able to remove it. And they both got the non-slip stuff. So it's less, it still slips off my footstool thing, but that's because it's got big plastic knobby bits on it. So it's not sitting flat technically. Get back up on there. There we go. Feet are there. So, yeah, so that's where that is at. We can go back to there. I just wanted to show that before I forgot, because, you know, I would have. But yeah, it's super, super comfy, and it gets my feet to just that perfect height. Like, of course I did. Of course I had to tangle it up again. Good job, me. I'm really not good with keeping yarns and stuff detangled. And whenever I look at those, like, oh, color work bosses for making sure your yarn doesn't get tangled up, I just look at them and think, my yarn will still get tangled up in that. How is it not supposed to get tangled up in that? So if any of you have any suggestions for great ways to work with multiple colors without tangling your needles or your yarn, I'd love to know it. I tend to crochet more. I only have one yarn bowl, and I'm not going to rewind these into balls, so none of these will fit into a yarn bowl. And it's only a small yarn bowl, so it'll only take one at a time. So, but yeah, I agree. The whole being able to wash it was big for me. But that was like oh, I like that, because it's one of those things. Like, I get under here and grab my big hard plastic one out and go and give it a hose off every now and again, and give it a scrub with some spray and wipe and a little brush. I mean, I don't like it's I don't know. It's just a thing, right? It's not janky. It probably doesn't need it, but it just makes me feel better knowing it's done. That's all. I mean, it probably, like, as far as I'm concerned, it does need it. They do need it every now and again, but whether or not they generally get done is another question. When I'm doing multiple colors, I use smaller balls. If it's a big skein, I'll wind it into the smaller balls. That helps somewhat. Also, just a lot of pausing to untwist. Yeah, and so far that's what I do. I just pause, untwist it, and keep going. I just was hoping there was like a technique or a way to do things that might work better. And I probably should have wound these into cakes, which I'll probably go and wind the rest of them into cakes before I use them. Now that I found my ball winder and it's permanently attached to a table out in the living room, I'll probably wind those into balls just so that they sit better and I can keep an eye on them better. I tried one of those tension rings, but it doesn't work for my knitting style. What do you mean by tension rings? Are you talking about the thing just to hold the yarn there? Like, that wouldn't stop the twisting, right? That's just for the tension. I've been trying to practice Norwegian knitting, but I end up poking my finger out. It's just a habit now. And I know that's a massive no-no for Norwegian knitting, and you get smacked, because Norwegian knitting's more like this. And I say more like this because I'm still not good at it. Because I like to have my finger tensioning the yarn, but that's not how Norwegian knitting works. One thing I'll say, I'll be very happy when this yarn starts to travel better by itself. These are new cables, so it's probably part of the problem as well. Oh, I know the ones. Yeah, I've got one that holds 3 yarns, and same deal. I'm not a big fan of it. I like the idea of it. I don't like using it. Does that make sense? And no, only mods can post links. At least here. If you're in the Discord, you can pop a link in there. Or on the Facebook page, if you're a Facebooky person. It just doesn't work? Yeah. And sometimes they just don't. Like a lot of those rings really are designed for continental knitters because you do have your yarn naturally over one finger like that anyway. So if you've just got a ring holding it into place, then it makes life easier. But if you're a continental knitter, your tension is over here on this other hand. So you want to be able, sorry, if you're an English knitter, you want to be able to, you know, have this, and having the ring there is not as conducive to that. I mean, I could see it could work, like just seeing how the yarn's sitting for me. So, but you know, it depends on your style. Like there's more than one type of English knitter and continental knitter and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, I could see how it could work, but I definitely can see how it works better for continental style because it's more of a pick it off the thing rather than wrap it. So I can do both. I was an English knitter before a continental knitter and then made the shift. It just, because I'm a crocheter first, it felt more natural to continental knit than it does to English knit. Oh, you need to upload all your softwares. And that'll take a bit of time too. And like, I personally don't think either one is technically faster. It depends on the person doing it. Like if you are someone who's been English knitting for 11 billion years and your hands just do it, you will be slower when you start continental knitting. Now you may down the track speed up and adjust and all that, but it's learning, it's time that you've got to do. So you just have to decide. For me personally, I love learning all different techniques of knitting. So I try to consciously learn all the different techniques. Like I love the Norwegian purl, which is still like, so this is a Norwegian knit, right? But the Norwegian purl, you don't move your hands, you move the needle. Oh no, I can't remember. I need a video. It's been a while, but your hands still sit the same way, and you actually like come in under and wrap things around, and you know it's just a bit different. But your hands are still sitting together. So for knit purling and ribbing and things like that, it's actually a lot faster because you don't have to move and change things. Like you don't have to readjust your hands for purling. So it just comes down to practicing and learning and being willing to learn. Like I get this, what's the point of learning all different knitting techniques? Because I can tell you right now, sometimes my hands get tired from continental knitting and I use different muscles to English knit. So I can change the knitting style and continue knitting. So, you know, it's different ways of knitting affect different parts of your body. And if you're having a physical problem, oh yeah, Francis, I've got it. I did a whole project using it, like a stockinette top. And for the life of me, my brain just won't give it to me right this second while I'm live on camera. But I think the second I watch a video, I'll be like, of course, kind of thing. But yes, it is. It's really efficient. And that's something I really like is efficient craft. Because, you know, I've got a busted body. I've got limited movement. I've got things I can and can't do. And being able to switch around and not have to stop crafting, that's what I want. I'd rather switch techniques than stop. Now, one thing I will say is I tend not to switch techniques in the same pattern if I can avoid it. I'll have different projects for different techniques because, I don't know about you, but for me, my tension changes. So I want to make sure that if it's a project, especially if it's something in stockinette, I will try to use the same technique for that project. So I'll have different projects for different frames of mind. When I used to come home from work, when I worked an office job, I would have a basket with face washers and cotton to knit, and I would make those and then not work on whatever the big project was, because when I first got home from work, I was stressed out and tense, and it showed through in my knitting. I needed 5 minutes of crafting, you know, before the actual tension got better. So I needed to, let me just fix this. There we go. And just go from there. So yeah. Francis, yeah, Bianca, it does affect my tension. So I tend not to. We have a visitor. I've got to move the buy me a coffee. There it is. Hello, Louie. How are ya? How are you doing, big man? Yeah, so it does affect my tension. So if I'm in a project that doesn't matter, then go for it. But if I in projects that do matter, I will have multiple projects going. I switch crafts when my hands cramp up. I usually switch from knitting to crochet or reverse. Yeah, look, I do that as well. I will switch from knitting to crochet, sometimes spinning. So just to give my body a break. Got Louis Cam going. It's 12 p.m. Yep, I got it. But Louis just came in. We got to give him his 5 minutes of screen time, don't we? Oh, are you digging to China? Are you digging? Is the mat not comfy enough for you? What if? What if we do this? Hang on, Luke. Oh, what if? I don't roll over this. Up you get. Hop up. There you go. Is that softer? Is that better? Is that better? There we go. He's like, no, it's weird now. It's weird, Mum. I've got to get all comfy again now. Oh dear. Oh, you two have a furry companion who demands the camera attention. Yeah, no, that blanket's not for you. He's overlooking at the other blankets. Well, he's done. He's like, no, I'm out. Yeah, Louis's got his own little Louis cam. He doesn't come in all the time, but sometimes he'll sit here for the whole 2 hours and just sleep, and I'll have to check on him to make sure he's not dead because he just lays there like a fish. So yeah. That's actually him, like when he comes in at this sort of time, he knows it's 12 o'clock and he's like, is it time for me to go out? I'd like to go out. Going out would be nice. All right, so that's the right side, wrong side, right side. So that's where we're at with this. And this is just going to be one of those projects where I just keep working on it. While I'm working on other things, it'll get pushed aside. It'll be the back burner project. There's no rush. There's no time frame. It's just using up scraps. I regularly suffer from feline interruptions because if I'm sitting, I have a lap for cats. Neither of my cats are lap cats. Macy, however, will just chew through the yarn. Mostly only nitpicks Brava. Like, I don't know what her obsession is, but I pulled this project out for the first time in 6 months. Macy has not come anywhere near me while I'm crafting, right? I pull it out. I've got the whole crate of yarn just sitting on one seat of a lounge chair, and she's on the arm of the chair, and I look over and she's like, I'm like, what are you doing? And she was literally about to like just take a bite out of an entire ball of, like, she was just over a ball of yarn, and I'm just like, what on earth? And she was just like, nothing, I'm not doing anything. But yeah, she was hilarious. But she doesn't normally come near me when I'm crafting. But the Knit Picks Brava yarn, I think it's full of catnip or something. I don't know. She's obsessed. But it could also be a kitten thing. I'll post a photo of when we first got Macy and I was working on something in Knit Pick Brava. And I came into my office and it was the first time I knew she could get on my desk because she was asleep in a pile of yarn with her head resting on a ball of yarn. So it might be just a comfort thing for her because from when she was a kitten. Anyway, on that note, friends, I'm going to go. I'm going to go and get some other work done. I'm going to have some lunch. I don't even know if I'm going to have for lunch, but I'm going to have some lunch. And I'll catch you all next week. See ya. Oh, and if you're a channel member, keep an eye out on the Discord and in the community tab. I'll make an announcement of a date and time for when our members only Discord chat will happen. I'll see you later. Bye now. If I can find the end screen, there it is.